The lobby of the five-star Grand Regent Hotel was a stage for the wealthy, and General Manager Gregory Henderson was its ruthless director. When an elderly Japanese man in a simple coat tried to check in, Henderson prepared to have him thrown out. He saw a nuisance, a blemish on his perfect lobby. He barked at the staff, "Does anyone speak that?" What he didn't see was Serena, the waitress polishing silver nearby. He didn't know her secret, and he didn't know that his act of cruel arrogance was about to cost him everything. The Grand Regent Hotel was not merely a building, it was a statement. Its marble floors were imported from Carrara, buffed to a mirror finish that reflected the glittering, three-story chandelier dripping with Bohemian crystal. The air itself was curated, infused with a custom scent of white tea, bergamot, and a faint, subtle hint of old money. To work here was to be invisible, a silent cog in a machine designed to cater to the 1% of the 1%, and no one felt more invisible than Serena Mason. At 26, Serena's life was a world away from the starched white apron and sensible black shoes she wore. Her days were a blur of polishing silver, memorizing wine pairings, and smiling obsequiously at people who looked straight through her. She was a waitress at the Gilded Spire, the hotel's rooftop restaurant, a place where a single steak cost more than her weekly grocery budget. This job was her penance. 4 years ago, she had been a promising linguistics major at Georgetown, her thesis on Japanese sociolinguistics and the nuances of keigo, honorific speech, already attracting academic attention. Then, her father's small construction business had collapsed, buried under a mountain of debt from a partner's embezzlement. The scholarships vanished, the tuition payments bounced, and Serena had come home to help her parents stabilize, taking the first job that would pay the bills. The debt letters still came, and the Grand Regent, for all its opulence, paid just enough to keep the wolves from the door. The true source of the hotel's oppressive atmosphere, however, was not the wealthy guests, but the man who ruled the staff, General Manager Gregory Henderson. Henderson was a man sculpted from arrogance and ambition. He wore his bespoke Savile Row suits like armor, his silver hair slicked back, his voice a perpetual, condescending sneer. He didn't manage the hotel, he patrolled it. He was notorious for firing a bellhop, Mark, for having a scuff on his shoe, only to rehire him at a lower wage 2 weeks later when he begged. On this particular Tuesday, the hotel was suffocating under a new level of tension. Henderson had called an all-staff Code Red briefing in the main ballroom. "Listen up," he snapped, pacing the stage, his microphone amplifying his contempt. "We have received credible intelligence that the Viridian Hotels Group is sending a mystery guest this week. They are the potential buyers of the entire Grand Regent chain. This isn't just a review, this is an audition. This is the big one." He pointed a manicured finger at the assembled staff of over 200. "I want perfection. Not excellence, perfection. The floors will be so clean I can eat off them. The silver will be so polished it blinds me. Any guest who looks even remotely influential will be treated like royalty. The moment you see a platinum-level travel card or a high-end watch, you alert me. Personally." His eyes scanned the room and landed on Serena, who was standing in the back with the rest of the restaurant staff. "Mason," he barked. Serena flinched. "Yes, Mr. Henderson?" "You're on lobby lounge duty today. We're short-staffed. Don't embarrass me. Your job is to be furniture, silent, useful, and unobtrusive. Understood?" "Yes, Mr. Henderson." The staff filed out, their shoulders slumped, the air thick with anxiety. Henderson was hunting for a mistake, and everyone knew it. Serena reported to the vast lobby lounge, her polishing cloth in hand. She began the mind-numbing task of polishing the silver coffee pots on the service sideboard, her back to the main entrance. She could hear Brenda, the front desk manager, practicing her "Welcome to the Grand Regent" greeting, her voice strained. Henderson was prowling the lobby, his presence sucking the oxygen from the room. He adjusted a floral arrangement with a violent tug, hissed at a porter to realign a luggage cart, and stared at the revolving doors as if awaiting the arrival of a king. "Look sharp, Brenda," he muttered, gliding past the desk. It could be anyone. It could be that couple in the Brioni suits. It could be the woman with the private jet luggage tags. He was looking for the obvious. He was looking for a stereotype of wealth. He was looking for someone who looked like they held the hotel's fate in their hands. He was, in short, looking in the wrong direction. The revolving doors whispered to a halt, and an elderly man stepped into the lobby. He was perhaps in his late 70s, with a shock of white hair and a face etched with the kind of deep lines that spoke of a long and thoughtful life. He didn't wear a Brioni suit or carry monogrammed luggage. He wore a simple, dark grey travel jacket, immaculately tailored but understated, dark trousers and comfortable walking shoes. He carried a single, worn leather satchel. He stood for a moment, bypassed by the rushing staff, his gaze sweeping across the cavernous lobby. He was perfectly still, an island of calm in Henderson's self-created storm. He looked, to the untrained eye, like a lost tourist, perhaps a retired professor who had wandered into the wrong hotel looking for a bathroom. He approached the front desk. Brenda, seeing Henderson watching her, put on her brightest, most artificial smile. "Welcome to the Grand Regent, sir. How may I assist you?" The man looked at her, his expression polite, and spoke. His voice was quiet, raspy, and distinctly Japanese. "Konnichiwa. Yoyaku o shite iru to omoimasu. Watashi no namae wa." Brenda's smile froze, faltering at the first unfamiliar syllable. I'm sorry, sir." The man paused, realizing the disconnect. He tried again, slower. "Yoyaku. Reservation. Watashi wa." Henderson materialized at the desk, his face a mask of impatience. "Brenda, what's the problem?" He doesn't speak English, Mr. Henderson. I think he's lost." "Lost?" Henderson scoffed, turning to the man. He spoke loudly and slowly, as if addressing a dim-witted child. "Sir, this is the Grand Regent Hotel. Do you have a reservation?" The elderly man winced slightly at the volume. He shook his head, not in negation, but in a gentle gesture of, "I do not understand you." He spoke again, this time with a hint of urgency, using the one English word he seemed to know. "Reservation. Tanaka." Brenda typed Tanaka into the system. "Nothing, sir?" "No Tanaka. Are you sure you're at the right hotel? Perhaps the Budget Inn down the street?" Henderson let out an exasperated sigh. "Brenda, for heaven's sake, get the app. We don't have time for this." Brenda fumbled for her phone, pulling up a cheap, unreliable translation app. She held it out. "Please, speak." The man leaned in, his dignity strained. "Watashi wa shizuka na heya o kibushimasu. Juyu nakaigi no tame ni, kokoro no junbi o shitai no desu." "I hope for a quiet room. I need to prepare my mind for an important meeting." Brenda's phone buzzed and spat out a metallic, nonsensical translation. "I want noisy operation. Prepare for the meeting of the heart." Henderson's face darkened. "Noisy operation? What is this nonsense? Sir, you are holding up the line. We have important guests arriving." "But Mr. Henderson," Brenda whispered, "what about the mystery guest?" "Do you really think," Henderson sneered, "that the buyer of this multi-billion-dollar chain would show up looking like that? A lost tourist in cheap shoes. Don't be ridiculous. He's probably looking for a tour bus." He turned back to the man. "Sir, I must ask you to leave. You are trespassing." The elderly man's face, once calm, now flushed with a quiet, profound embarrassment. He had been dismissed, insulted, and treated like a vagrant. He clutched his leather satchel and spoke one last time, a sentence of pure, formal Japanese. "Koko no omotenashi wa hijou ni zanen desu." The hospitality here is profoundly disappointing. "I don't care what you're desu-oing," Henderson snapped, his hand gesturing toward the security guard near the door. "Frank, please escort this gentleman out." The guard, a large man named Frank, began to move. The elderly man took a step back, his humiliation complete. From the sideboard, Serena heard it all. She heard the polite Japanese. She heard Henderson's booming insults. She heard the app's butchered translation. But most of all, she heard that final, heart-breaking sentence. Profoundly disappointing. She felt a cold dread, followed by a hot flash of anger. This was not just poor service. This was a violation of the very idea of hospitality, the one thing her parents had taught her to value. Henderson was motioning to the guard. "Now, Frank." "No." The word was quiet, but it cut through the lobby's tension like a knife. Henderson spun around. "What did you say?" Serena Mason had stepped away from the sideboard. Her polishing cloth was clutched in her hand. Her heart was hammering against her ribs, but her voice was steady. "I said no, Mr. Henderson." She turned to the elderly Japanese man, ignoring her boss, ignoring the gasps from the front desk. She bowed. It wasn't a bob of the head. It was a full, respectful 90-degree bow, held for 3 long seconds. The lobby fell utterly silent. When Serena rose from her bow, her eyes met the elderly man's. The confusion and humiliation in his expression were gone, replaced by a look of stunned disbelief. Then Serena spoke. Her voice was not the high-pitched service industry chirp she was forced to use every day. It was low, fluent, and flawless. "Mushiwake gozaimasen, okyaku-sama," she said, the formal keigo rolling off her tongue with practiced ease. "Watashi domo no shitsure, o fukaku o wabi mushiagemasu." My deepest apologies, honored guest. I apologize profoundly for our rudeness. Mr. Henderson looked as if he had been struck by lightning. His mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. Brenda's hand flew to her mouth. The elderly man's eyes widened. He replied, his own Japanese formal and precise. "Anata wa Nihongo ga o wakari ni naru no desu ka?" You understand Japanese?" "Hai," Serena replied, maintaining her respectful posture. "Sukoshi dake, onamai to, goyoyaku no kakunin o tetsudai sasete itadakemasen. Deshu ka?" "Yes, a little. May I please be permitted to assist you with your name and reservation confirmation?" The man gave a short, sharp nod. He looked past Serena, directly at the paralyzed Gregory Henderson, and said, in Japanese, "Kono kate no hito ni hanashite mo muda desu. Kanojo ni makasemasu." "It is useless speaking to this person. I will deal with her." Serena translated, her voice clear and cold, not looking at Henderson. "Mr. Tanaka says it is useless speaking to you, sir. He will deal with me." Henderson's face went from pale to a deep, mottled purple. "Serena." "What?" "How?" "Mr. Henderson," Serena said, her gaze fixed on him. "Please be quiet. You are embarrassing the hotel." It was a staggering act of insubordination, but it had the desired effect. Henderson was so shocked, he was rendered speechless. Serena turned back to Mr. Tanaka, giving him her full, undivided attention. "O name o mo ichido onegai dekimasu ka?" "May I please have your name once more?" "Tanaka, Kenji Tanaka," he said. "Yoyaku wa kaisha no namae de haite iru hazu desu. Tanaka Gurubaru Huru Dingusu des." "Tanaka, Kenji Tanaka. The reservation should be under a company name, Tanaka Global Holdings. Serena's blood ran cold. Tanaka Global Holdings. It wasn't a name she knew well, but she had seen it. It had been in the margins of the business journals left in the suites. It was a colossal, multinational conglomerate based in Tokyo, known for its portfolio in technology, logistics, and recently, high-end real estate. She turned to Brenda, who was staring, ghost-white. "Brenda," Serena said, her voice sharp. "Check the reservations. Now, look for a corporate account under Tanaka Global Holdings." Brenda's fingers flew across the keyboard, trembling. Yes, I see it. And? It's oh my God, it's the presidential suite. For 1 week. Billed to the corporate account." The silence that followed was heavier than the crystal chandelier. Serena took a deep breath. She turned back to Mr. Tanaka. "Tanaka-sama," she said, adding the highest honorific. "Goyoyaku ga kakunin dekimashita. Zeku no suite o goyoi shite orimasu. Watashi domo no fuchui de, ojikan otorasete shimaimashita. Koto o kasanete owabi moshi agemasu." "Mr. Tanaka, your reservation is confirmed. We have the presidential suite prepared for you. Again, I apologize for our carelessness, which has wasted your time." Mr. Tanaka nodded, a small, almost imperceptible smile touching his lips. He looked at Serena, then at Henderson, and said something to her in Japanese. Henderson, finally finding his voice, sputtered. "What? What did he say? Mason, what is he saying?" Serena stood straight, her hands clasped in front of her. "Mr. Tanaka wants to know why the general manager of a 5-star hotel believes that wealth can only be identified by the brand of a suit." Henderson flinched, as if she had slapped him. "And," Serena continued, her voice echoing in the lobby, "he says he has one condition for his stay." "Anything," Henderson yelped, scrambling forward, his false smile pasted on. "Absolutely anything, Mr. Tanaka. A pleasure to have you." Mr. Tanaka ignored him, speaking only to Serena. Serena translated. "He insists that I, and only I, am to be his personal liaison for the duration of his visit. He does not wish to speak to you or anyone else from the front-of-house management again. All his requests will go through me." "Done." "Of course," Henderson said, sweat beading on his forehead. He turned to Serena, his eyes wide with a mixture of fury and panic. "Mason, you're promoted. You're his liaison. Don't leave his side. Don't mess this up." "I have no intention of messing this up, Mr. Henderson," Serena said. She picked up the worn leather satchel. "Tanaka-sama, kochira e dozo. Oheya e go anai itashimasu." "Mr. Tanaka, this way, please. I will guide you to your room." She led him to the private elevator, the one reserved for the penthouse. As the gold leaf doors slid shut, the last thing she saw was Gregory Henderson's face, a portrait of pure, unadulterated terror. He had just tried to throw out the very man who was deciding his future. The elevator ride to the presidential suite was silent, but it was a comfortable silence. The oppressive tension of the lobby had vanished, replaced by a quiet, shared understanding. When the doors opened, they stepped into a space larger than Serena's entire apartment building. The suite was a 2-story marvel of glass and steel, with a panoramic view of the city, a grand piano in the corner, and a private terrace with a plunge pool. Mr. Tanaka walked to the window, gazing down at the city lights. "Kare wo itomo konna funa no desu ka?" he asked quietly. "Is he always like that?" Serena set his satchel on a luggage rack. "Hi," she said. "Worse, usually. Mr. Henderson values appearances above all else. He believes respect is something to be given only to those who look like they've already earned it. So wa hotaru no shide wa nai." Mr. Tanaka murmured. Sore wa jakusha no tetsugaku desu. That is not the death of a hotel. That is the philosophy of a weak man. He turned to her, his eyes kind. You, however. Anata wa Georgetown Daigaku de Gengo Gaku o Senku shimashita ne? You studied linguistics at Georgetown, did you not? Serena froze. How did you know that? Mr. Tanaka smiled. Your keigo. It is not the Japanese of an anime fan or a tourist. It is academic, precise. You speak like a scholar. And your pronunciation has the faint hint of an East Coast accent. Georgetown is famous for its linguistics program, a logical deduction. Serena felt a blush rise to her cheeks. It had been years since anyone had seen her as anything other than a waitress. Yes, I did. I had to drop out. Family reasons. Gokazoku no mondai, he nodded, his expression empathetic. My apologies. It is a great skill, a waste for it to be spent polishing silver. It pays the bills, Serena said simply. May I get you anything, Tanaka-sama? Coffee, tea. Ochao, he replied. Sencha, moshi, areba. Tea. Sencha, if you have it. Serena retrieved the suite's high-end tea set and began the preparation. As she steeped the green tea, Mr. Tanaka sat, not on the opulent sofa, but on a simple, straight-backed chair. My full name is Kenji Tanaka, he said, switching to slow, careful English. Serena looked up, surprised. Ah, he said, seeing her expression. My English is functional. For business? But for matters of comfort, of nuance, it is insufficient. I prefer my own tongue, especially, he added, a wry look in his eye, when testing the character of a new acquisition. Serena paused, the porcelain cup in her hand. Acquisition? So the rumors are true. You're not just a mystery guest. You're the buyer. Tanaka Global is acquiring the Viridian Hotels Group. Yes, he confirmed, accepting the tea. This hotel, the Grand Regent, is the jewel in their crown, or so they claim. I came unannounced because a house may be beautiful on the outside, but I need to know if the foundation is rotten. And Mr. Henderson, Serena said, is the rot. He is a symptom, Mr. Tanaka corrected gently. A very loud, very arrogant symptom. But I am more interested in you, Ms. Mason. Why did you intervene? You risked your job. For a man you did not know. Serena thought for a moment. My mother. She passed away a few years ago. She was a historian. She specialized in Japanese art. She taught me the language, but more than that, she taught me what it meant. She taught me that omotenashi, hospitality, is not just about service. It's about anticipating a guest's needs without them asking. It's about respect, given freely, without expectation of reward. She looked at Mr. Tanaka. What Mr. Henderson did, it wasn't just rude, it was a failure of his entire profession. I couldn't let that stand. Mr. Tanaka was quiet for a long time, sipping his tea. He studied her. Your mother was a wise woman, he said at last. Ms. Mason, you are no longer just my liaison. You are my proxy. I am not well enough to tour the entire hotel. I will be resting. You, however, will do it for me. I don't understand, sir. I want you to conduct my inspection. I want you to talk to the staff, the real staff, the cleaners, the cooks, the porters, not the managers. I want to know what they think. I want to know where the other rot is. You will be my eyes and ears. And, he said, a sharp glint in his eye, I want you to observe Mr. Henderson, a man that desperate, that compromised. He is capable of great stupidity. He's terrified, Serena agreed. He knows he failed your test. He does not know what the test is, Mr. Tanaka said. He thinks I am here to inspect the thread count of the sheets. I am here to inspect the character of its people. He gave her a list. It wasn't a list of demands for champagne or caviar. It was a list of small, specific, and unusual items. He wanted a specific brand of rice paper and sumi ink for calligraphy. He wanted a copy of a specific out-of-print book on 18th century architecture, and he wanted a simple, traditional okayu, rice porridge, from the kitchen at 3 a.m. These are not for me, he explained. These are tests, to see how the hotel functions when given a request that is not on a standard menu. Do not tell them it is for me. Use your own authority. See what happens. Serena nodded, a new sense of purpose filling her. I will. As she left the suite, she was no longer Serena the waitress. She was an agent of change, armed with the authority of the one man who held all their futures in his hand. Serena's first test began in her own territory, the Gilded Spire's kitchen. She requested the 3 a.m. okayu. The night manager, a Henderson loyalist, scoffed. Porridge at 3 a.m. for a waitress? Absolutely not. Kitchen's closed. Serena didn't argue. She went to the back dock, where the night prep chefs were smoking. She spoke to a young cook named Miguel, a man she'd shared coffee with many times. In 10 minutes, she had a perfect steaming bowl of okayu, which she delivered to Mr. Tanaka, who simply nodded and wrote in a small black notebook. Next, the book. The hotel concierge, another Henderson appointee, claimed it was impossible to find. Serena spent an hour on her phone, calling every rare book dealer in the city. She found a copy at a small shop owned by a Georgetown alumnus. She paid for it with her own credit card and had it messengered to the hotel. Mr. Tanaka observed the receipt and nodded again. The ink and paper, however, proved to be the biggest challenge. Art supplies? We are a hotel, Ms. Mason, not a craft store, the concierge snapped. It was then that Serena noticed Mr. Henderson. He was lurking near the concierge desk, his face pale and drawn. He was watching her. When the concierge denied her request, a small, cruel smile flickered on Henderson's lips. He was sabotaging her. He had clearly sent out a memo. Do not help Serena Mason. Make her fail. He thought that by making her look incompetent, he could regain control. He thought Mr. Tanaka would blame her for the failures. Serena realized she was fighting a two-front war, fulfilling Mr. Tanaka's requests and battling the active sabotage of her own manager. She returned to Mr. Tanaka. I cannot get the ink, sir. Mr. Henderson is blocking me. He's told the staff to refuse my requests. Mr. Tanaka did not look surprised. I see. And what will you do? I'm going to get the ink, Serena said. She left the hotel, took the subway to the University District, and went to the art supply store she used to frequent. She bought the exact ink and paper Mr. Tanaka had requested. When she returned to the hotel, carrying the small paper bag, she saw something that stopped her cold. In the hotel's dim, exclusive Cypress bar, Gregory Henderson was sitting in a dark booth. He was not alone. He was leaning in, speaking urgently to another man. The man was in a sharp, expensive suit, his back to Serena. But she recognized the profile. She'd seen his picture in the very business journals she'd been reading. It was Robert Pierce. Pierce was the cutthroat, infamous CEO of the Sentinel Group, the other major hospitality conglomerate. Tanaka Global and the Sentinel Group were the two biggest sharks in the water, and they were in a bidding war for the Viridian Hotels chain. Why was Gregory Henderson, the manager of a Viridian hotel, having a secret, hushed meeting with the CEO of the rival bidder? Serena ducked behind a pillar, her blood turning to ice. Can't make the offer public, she heard Henderson hiss. Not yet. Tanaka is here, in the hotel. He's using a waitress as his proxy. A waitress? Pierce's voice was a low growl. "Don't be a fool, Gregory. That's a classic Tanaka move. He's testing you. Does he know about the discrepancies in the quarterly reports?" No, he can't," Henderson said, his voice cracking. "I've kept the books clean. But Pierce, you have to guarantee me the European director position. I'm feeding you the internal numbers, the occupancy forecasts, the real profit margins. Tanaka Global is bidding blind. You know exactly what the chain is worth. You can undercut them by just enough, and I'm the one giving you the data." Serena pressed her back against the cold marble. It wasn't just incompetence. It wasn't just arrogance. It was corporate espionage. Gregory Henderson was a mole. He wasn't trying to save his job with Mr. Tanaka. He was actively scuttling the sale to Tanaka Global, feeding proprietary, confidential data to the competition to secure himself a better position. He was trying to make Serena fail, not to get back in Mr. Tanaka's good graces, but to make Mr. Tanaka's entire visit a failure, to make him think the hotel was a chaotic, poorly run mess, perhaps souring him on the whole deal. Serena backed away slowly, her mind racing. She returned to the penthouse, the art supplies clutched in her hand. She entered the suite. Mr. Tanaka was by the window, practicing calligraphy on a notepad. "You have the ink," he observed. "Yes," Serena said, setting it down. Her hands were shaking. "What is wrong, Miss Mason?" Serena met his gaze. "Mr. Tanaka, the problem is much, much worse than we thought. Mr. Henderson isn't just trying to sabotage me. He's trying to sabotage you." She told him everything. The man in the bar, Robert Pierce, the Sentinel Group, the mention of discrepancies, and feeding him the numbers. Mr. Tanaka's calm, grandfatherly demeanor vanished. His eyes became as hard and sharp as obsidian. He set his brush down. "Sudesuka," he said, his voice dangerously soft. "So, the rot is not in the foundation, it is at the head. He is not a weak man. He is a criminal." "What do we do?" Serena asked. Mr. Tanaka looked at her. "A snake, Ms. Mason, must be drawn out of its hole before you can cut off its head. We will set a trap. And you," he said, "will be the bait." Mr. Tanaka's plan was simple, elegant, and ruthless. "A traitor," he explained, "is defined by his greed. Henderson believes he is selling information to Mr. Pierce. We will give him information so valuable he cannot resist selling it immediately." He picked up the phone and dialed a number from his personal book. He spoke in rapid, corporate Japanese. When he hung up, he looked at Serena. "The owners of the Viridian chain, the ones I am buying from, will be here in 1 hour. They will be in the lobby. They do not know why I have summoned them. They just know their buyer is furious." "What's my part?" Serena asked. "You are going to make a mistake," Mr. Tanaka said. "You will go to the business center and accidentally leave a document in the printer tray. A document that Mr. Henderson has eyes on." He handed her a USB drive. "This is a single sheet. It is a new, preliminary, false bid for the Viridian chain. It is valued at 30% higher than our actual bid. It is an astronomical number." "He'll see it," Serena breathed. "He'll know the front desk staff will alert him if I print anything." "Of course," Mr. Tanaka said. "He will see the number, and he will panic. He will believe his information is outdated. He will have to call Mr. Pierce immediately to tell him to raise his bid, thereby proving his value to him. He will expose his own hand." "And you?" "I will be waiting," Mr. Tanaka said. Serena did exactly as she was told. She walked to the business center, her heart pounding. She struggled with the printer, looking flustered. She printed the document, a single page with "Confidential Tanaka Global Holdings, revised offer" at the top, And then, hearing her phone ring, she rushed out, forgetting the paper. She waited in the lobby, hidden behind a floral display. Less than 2 minutes later, Brenda, the front desk manager, walked briskly to the printer, retrieved the sheet, read it, and her eyes went wide. She ran straight to Henderson's office. 30 seconds after that, Henderson burst from his office, the paper clutched in his hand. He was pale, sweating. He didn't look left or right. He ran to the Cypress bar, fumbling for his phone. He thought he was alone. He wasn't. Robert Pierce was already sitting in the same dark booth as before, a glass of scotch in his hand. "You're late, Gregory," Pierce snarled. "You won't believe this," Henderson panted, sliding the paper across the table. "He just revised the offer. Look at that number. He's trying to push you out completely. My intel. It's gold, Robert. Gold. You have to beat this. You have to." Pierce looked at the paper. "This is insane. 30% over market. No hotel is worth that." "It's Tanaka. He's making a power play," Henderson insisted. "You have to match it. Tell your board. I can get you the final P&L reports for the quarter, the ones that show the creative accounting. You can use it as leverage to knock him down." "Creative accounting?" The new voice was calm, cold, and amplified. Henderson and Pierce froze. Mr. Kenji Tanaka was standing at the entrance to the bar. He was not alone. Beside him stood Serena, and behind him were two grim-faced people, a man and a woman, whom Serena recognized as Mr. and Mrs. Beaumont, the current owners of the Viridian chain. Henderson looked like he had seen a ghost. Mr. Tanaka, I was just—" "You were just committing wire fraud?" Mr. Tanaka asked, his English now perfectly, terrifyingly fluent. "You were just engaging in corporate espionage. You were just explaining to Mr. Pierce how you have been creatively accounting the books you have been falsifying to defraud my company?" Robert Pierce stood up, his face a mask of stone. "Kenji, this is a misunderstanding." "It is no misunderstanding, Robert," Mr. Tanaka said. "I am sure the SEC will be very interested in your methods of insider trading. As for you," he said, his gaze landing on Gregory Henderson. Henderson began to tremble, his eyes darting to the exit. You set me up." "A trap is only effective," Mr. Tanaka said, "when the rat is hungry. And you, Mr. Henderson, are starving." You, waitress!" Henderson shrieked, his composure shattering, pointing a shaking finger at Serena. "You did this! You're nobody!" "She is Ms. Mason," Mr. Tanaka said, his voice dropping to a deadly quiet. "She is the only employee in this entire establishment who understands the meaning of hospitality. She is the only person here who possesses an ounce of character. And she is the one who just saved me," he looked at the Beaumonts, "and you, from a multi-million-dollar lawsuit." Mrs. Beaumont, her face pale with fury, looked at Henderson. "Gregory, you are fired. Security, please." Two guards who had been waiting by the door stepped in. "No, please," Henderson begged as they took his arms. It was... Please." "By the way, Mr. Henderson," Serena said, her voice clear and strong. "The word you were looking for earlier. It's Zanen. It means disappointing. And you are the most Zanen man I have ever met." They dragged him out, his protests echoing in the marble lobby. Robert Pierce watched him go, then straightened his tie. "You've won this round, Kenji." "This was not a round, Robert," Mr. Tanaka said. "This was the game." Pierce walked out. The lobby was silent. The Beaumonts, Mr. Tanaka, and Serena were left standing alone. The echo of Gregory Henderson's distant, desperate protests faded, leaving a silence in the Cypress bar that was heavier and more profound than the marble columns holding up the ceiling. Robert Pierce had vanished like a phantom, his abandoned Scotch glass a silent testament to his hasty retreat. The only people left were the two owners, Mr. and Mrs. Beaumont, Mr. Kenji Tanaka, and Serena. Serena stood, frozen, her hand still clasped in front of her. The adrenaline that had sharpened her focus and driven her actions for the past day was now draining away, leaving her acutely aware of her surroundings. She was a waitress, in her sensible black shoes and simple apron, standing in a private bar with three of the most powerful people in the hospitality industry. She felt like a stray prop left on a stage after the real actors had finished the scene. Her heart was hammering a frantic, unsteady rhythm against her ribs. Mrs. Beaumont was the first to move. She was a woman who clearly commanded boardrooms, and her composure, while rattled, was reforming itself with visible effort. She smoothed the front of her silk blouse and turned to Mr. Tanaka. "Mr. Tanaka." "Kenji," she said, her voice tight with a mixture of professional fury and deep, personal embarrassment. I am mortified. We are mortified. The idea that one of our own, falsifying reports, espionage, I can assure you, we will cooperate with any investigation. We will prosecute Henderson to the fullest extent of the law. This is not how we do business." Mr. Tanaka regarded her with a calm, unblinking gaze. He did not seem angry. He seemed, to Serena's surprise, almost satisfied. "Mrs. Beaumont," he said, his English still perfectly, chillingly fluent. "Your hotel is beautiful. The crystal is magnificent. The marble is flawless. But your foundation is rotten." "That's not fair," her husband, Mr. Beaumont, interjected. "Henderson was one man. A bad apple." "He was not an apple, Mr. Beaumont." "He was a symptom," Mr. Tanaka corrected, his voice soft but unyielding. "He was a symptom of a culture you and your board have fostered, a culture that values appearance above all else, a culture that taught him, and every employee here, that the only guests who matter are the ones who look like they matter. He was able arrogant because your system rewarded it. He was able to falsify reports because no one was watching him. You were all too busy watching your stock price. He was able to bribe staff because they were loyal to his power, not to any guiding principle of this hotel." He gestured around the opulent, empty bar. "You built a beautiful house, but you left the soul of it to rot, and Gregory Henderson was the face of that rot." The Beaumonts had no reply. They knew he was right. The failed test, the humiliation of their most important potential buyer, was the ultimate proof. "However," Mr. Tanaka continued, "my offer, the real one, not the fraudulent document I created for our rat, still stands. Tanaka Global will acquire this chain." A visible wave of relief washed over Mrs. Beaumont's face. "Kenji, that is wonderful news. We will begin the paperwork immediately. We will, of course, be offering a significant discount to compensate for this disaster." "I do not want a discount," Mr. Tanaka said. The Beaumonts looked confused. "Then what?" Mr. Tanaka turned his head, his gaze settling for the first time since the confrontation on Serena. His eyes, which had been as hard as obsidian, softened with that grandfatherly kindness she had first seen in the penthouse. "I am acquiring this chain," he said, looking back at the Beaumonts, "on one condition. Ms. Mason is to be placed in charge of this hotel's transition." Serena felt the blood drain from her face. The air in her lungs evaporated. She must have misheard. The Beaumonts were speechless. Mr. Beaumont was the first to find his voice. "In charge? Kenji, what do you mean, in charge?" "I mean," Mr. Tanaka said, "in charge." "Kenji, with all due respect," Mrs. Beaumont said, choosing her words carefully, as if navigating a minefield. She's a waitress. The word waitress hung in the air, a summary of all her inadequacies. It was a dismissal, a final judgment. Serena flinched, the single word undoing all the confidence she had built. She was just a waitress. She was just the girl who had to drop out of school. She was just the help. Mr. Tanaka did not raise his voice. He did not need to. She is a linguist from Georgetown University, he said, his voice cutting through the silence. The Beaumont's eyebrows shot up. She is an investigator who, in less than 24 hours and with zero resources, uncovered corporate fraud that your entire internal auditing department missed for years. She is a strategist who helped me execute a sting operation that just saved your company, and mine, from a multi-million-dollar lawsuit and a catastrophic bidding war. He took a step closer to them, his small frame projecting an immense, unshakable authority. But most of all, she is the only employee in this entire flagship establishment who understands the meaning of hospitality. She is the only person I have met here who possesses an ounce of character, who puts human dignity above a balance sheet. Your managers and your executives nearly bankrupted you. She saved you. He turned to Serena. The weight of his gaze, of his belief in her, was overwhelming. Serena, finding her voice, shook her head, the words tumbling out in a panicked rush. "Mr. Tanaka, sir, I can't be a general manager. I don't know how to run a hotel. I don't know spreadsheets or budgets or profit and loss or any of this. I just polish silver, sir. I'll fail. I can't." It was a raw, honest confession of her deepest fear. She was an imposter. She was a fraud. She had just been pretending. To her astonishment, Mr. Tanaka smiled, a rare, full, genuine smile. "No," he said, his voice gentle. "I agree. You cannot be the general manager. You would be terrible at it. That is a job for an operations man, a numbers man, and I will find a very boring, very efficient one for that role. You, Miss Mason, are not for that." Serena's confusion deepened. I don't understand. "I am offering you a new position," he said. "A role I am creating for you. You will be the new Chief Experience Officer for the entire Grand Regent North American Division. Your office will be here, in this hotel." "Chief Experience Officer?" she whispered. "Yes. Your job will not be to manage spreadsheets. Your job is to manage the soul of this company. Your job will not be to manage budgets. It will be to manage purpose. You will not track inventory. You will track morale and dignity. You will be in charge of training, of guest relations, of all cultural standards. You will travel to every hotel in this chain." He leaned in, his voice full of passion. "You will tear down the Hendersons of the world. You will find the other Serenas, the overlooked, the undervalued, the brilliant people hiding in the kitchens and the laundry rooms, the Miguels who make okayu at 3 a.m., the people polishing silver, just as you were. You will seek them out, and you will empower them. You will teach every single employee what your mother taught you. You will rebuild this company's foundation, Ms. Mason. Not on imported marble, but on respect." Serena was speechless. This wasn't a job. It was everything. It was a chance to make her parents proud, to use her education, to honor her mother's memory. It was a chance to ensure no one was ever treated the way Mr. Tanaka had been, the way she had been. Tears, hot and sudden, welled in her eyes, blurring the image of the man in front of her. I don't know what to say," she choked out. Mr. Tanaka's smile softened. "Say hi," he said gently. Serena took a deep, shaky breath. She wiped her eyes. She stood up straight, not as a waitress, but as the woman she was meant to be. She gave him a short, respectful bow. "Hi," she said, her voice clear and strong. "Yorokonde." "Yes, with pleasure." The next morning, Serena Mason walked through the revolving doors of the Grand Regent Hotel. She was not wearing her black and white uniform. The sensible shoes were gone, as was the starched apron. With a generous advance from her new signing bonus, which Mr. Tanaka had insisted upon, she had bought a sharply tailored, dark navy blue suit, a simple silk blouse, and low, professional heels. The sound her shoes made on the marble floor was different. It wasn't the harried, scurrying sound of a waitress. It was a firm, measured, confident click-clack. It was the sound of authority. The staff, who had been buzzing with wild, terrified rumors since Henderson's unceremonious removal, watched her walk in. They saw her, but they didn't see Serena. They saw a new boss, and they were terrified. They expected a new tyrant, perhaps one worse than the last. She walked past the front desk. Brenda, the manager, was standing there, ghost white, wringing her hands, clearly expecting to be fired. "Brenda," Serena said, her voice calm and even. Brenda flinched. "Yes, Ms. Mason?" "Your Japanese is terrible," Serena said. Brenda's face crumpled. I know. But, Serena continued, your data entry speed is excellent, and you know Henderson's filing system better than anyone. Report to the new accounting task force on the 30th floor. We have a lot of fraud to undo, and I need your eyes. Brenda's head snapped up, her expression a mix of shock and profound relief. Yes, Miss Mason. Thank you. Serena nodded and continued walking, leaving a stunned but newly motivated employee in her wake. She walked straight to the main ballroom, where, just as they had been the day before, the entire staff was assembled. This time, however, the air was not thick with anxiety. It was thick with pure, unadulterated fear. Serena stepped onto the stage, the same stage Henderson had paced, and tapped the microphone. The small thump echoed, silencing the whispers. She looked out at the sea of faces. The cleaners, the cooks, the porters, the concierges, the front desk staff. Her people. "Good morning," she said. Her voice was strong, steady and amplified, filling the room. "My name is Serena Mason. Many of you know me. You know me from the Gilded Spire. You've seen me polishing silver, and I've probably bummed a coffee from most of you in the break room." A few nervous titters. "Good. As of today," she continued, "I am your new Chief Experience Officer, and I know that many of you are scared. You are used to a management style built on fear, on intimidation, on looking over your shoulder. I am here to tell you that ends." She paused, letting the words sink in. That ends. Today, Mr. Henderson was wrong about almost everything. He was wrong to value a suit over a person. He was wrong to think that respect is something you earn only after you prove you are rich. And he was wrong to think this hotel's value was in its chandeliers. The value of this hotel is you. She pointed, not at anyone, but at everyone. He was always looking for the mystery guest. He taught you to look for the person in the expensive suit, the one with the platinum card. He was wrong. From now on, every guest is the mystery guest, and more importantly, so is every employee. This got their attention. He looked at you and he saw cogs in a machine. I look at you and I see the engine. I see the people who really make this place run. You are not invisible. Not anymore. She stepped forward, her voice dropping, becoming more personal. We are going to change everything. We will stop looking for the appearance of value, and we will start creating it. We will be a place of respect, not for their wallets, but for their humanity, our humanity. Our new foundation, it starts right here, it starts right now. She finished, and for a long, heavy moment, there was absolute silence. The staff stared, stunned, not daring to believe it. Was it a trick? Then from the back of the room, a single sound. Clap. Serena looked. It was Miguel, the night prep cook, the one who had made her the okayu. He was standing, a broad grin on his face, and he clapped again. Clap. Then Brenda, near the side door, began to clap. Then a bellhop. Then a housekeeper. And within 5 seconds, the entire room erupted in a thunderous, shaking wave of applause. It was a sound of fear breaking. It was a sound of pressure being released. It was a sound of hope. It was so loud, Serena was sure it shook the giant crystal chandelier above their heads. In the end, it wasn't a translation app or a balance sheet that defined the future of the Grand Regent Hotel. It was a single, overlooked waitress who knew that true worth isn't worn on a wrist. It's held in the heart. Serena Mason saw the man everyone else dismissed. She chose character over compliance, and in doing so, she didn't just get a new job, she started a revolution of respect. The world is full of Gregory Hendersons who judge the cover, but it is also full of Serenas and Mr. Tanakas who take the time to read the book. What do you think of Serena's incredible journey? Have you ever felt overlooked or judged, only to know you had a hidden strength? Share your story in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story of justice and hidden potential, please like, share, and subscribe for more dramatic storytelling. We'll see you in the next video.